Let's move on to the next panel discussion, taking forward our discussions on marketing, the real estate marketing. Our next topic of discussion is boosting real estate sales through ATL and BTL activities. So let me introduce the panel. The session will be moderated by Samir Arora, CEO and founder Huts Global from Bangalore. He is the past president of NAR-India and of CREA India, a veteran with 3 decades of varied industry experience, a learner, a coach, trainer by choice. Samir has carved a niche name for himself in wealth creation for clients via various assets in real estate for both Indian and international markets. Samir, a very warm welcome to you. Let me now introduce the speakers in an alphabetical order. Let me first welcome Ankit Saraf, founder Meraqi Digital. Ankit has more than 15 years of experience and has worked with leading marketing agencies in London and international brands. In 2016, he started Meraqi in India, which is now one of the fastest growing full-service digital agencies in Eastern India. Our next session member is Manish Porwal, Managing Director, Alchemist Marketing and Talent Solutions. Manish is a specialist in media planning, marketing communication, celebrity management, and people management with an enthusiasm for being engaged in creating successful business projects. Under his leadership, Alchemist, a young marketing solutions company, brings value of expertise in the services industry as it consults and executes marketing campaigns, runs digital agenda, provides celebrity interface, create IPCs, and many more aspects. Our next panel member is Ms. Piyali Dasgupta, Director Corporate Marketing and Public Relations for Knight Frank India. She is an experienced marketing and communications professional with a demonstrated track record of over 20 years. She has worked across aspects of traditional marketing, digital and new media marketing, corporate social responsibility, crisis communications, corporate communications, and market research. Our next panel member, let me welcome Mr. P. Rajendran, Chief Sales and Marketing Officer, Shapoorji Pallonji Real Estate. Mr. Rajendran brings over 2 decades of rich experience in real estate and consumer goods. He has served in leadership roles in renowned companies such as Tata Value Homes Limited, Tata Housing Development Company Limited, Mahindra and Mahindra Limited, and Eureka Forbes, and he is also the founder of North Star Realty. Our next panel member is Ms. Suneet Singh, Vice President Marketing for TARC. Suneet has a combined 23 years of marketing and sales leadership experience, and at TARC, she leads all marketing functions to support the company's strategic growth plans. Our next and final member, let me introduce Dr. Vishesh Rawat, Vice President and Head Sales Marketing, CRM and Leasing at M2K Group. Dr. Vishesh Rawat is a senior professional with a proven successful track record of 21 years in marketing, sales strategy, business development, and leasing, and he has cultivated deep insights in the domain of residential, commercial, and retail real estate markets across India. So this is our eminent panel. Mr. Samir Arora, let me hand it over to you now.
Thank you so much, Sapna. First thing, am I audible to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
So great. Welcome to the esteemed panelists. When I see such illuminary people in front of me, I always say I get a fear of speech. I fear when I'm not speaking. So I'm glad I'm the moderator and I'll continue to speak in between. Let's get on with, it's a very interesting subject when Sapna connected with me and said, we'll take it up because I think it's the need of the hour. The ATL and BTL activities which boost the real estate sales. So I keep saying, just to give a brief introduction, I keep saying consumers are statistics and customers are people. And real estate is a very people-oriented industry as customers buy their lifetime dreams for homes. Coming to marketing, we keep saying, what is success? Success at one point was who you know. Then it became who knows you. And now it's all about who wants to know you. And the real estate industry, let's face it, even the best real estate marketing strategies that did work a few years ago are on a slippery note today. To make things work, online mediums like Facebook and Google both continuously keep changing their algorithms. So this means getting leads organically is more complex than ever. The key is to learning how to adapt your real estate marketing plans for 24 and beyond. With the advent of more and more developers, the competition is fierce more than ever. To stand out, we must employ expert offline and online marketing strategies. Uh, I guess there is a background noise somewhere. Ankit, maybe it's from your end. You could mute yours. Yeah, thank you. So, choosing methods that open up larger audiences besides the traditional above the line ATL marketing or engaging strategies through below the line activations to develop a distinct competitive advantage is going to be the big way forward. I think that's all for me as the serious part for this. I am only going to keep adding a little humor and listen to all of you. And I'm sure our audiences will have a lot to learn from all of you. So, there's this movie that came, Khosla Ka Ghosla, that depicted the Indian real estate. And this Mr. Khosla asked one of the marketing managers to explain, with example, the difference between the visions of the future and why are they better than the dreams of the past. And this manager replied, forget the last night's hangover, just focus on where and with whom I'm going to have a drink today. So, that's on the lighter front, but we've come a long way in the industry from Khosla Ka Ghosla. And real estate plus infrastructure is writing almost 1/5 of India's GDP story going ahead in the next decade. To become the third largest economy and to touch that 5 billion target, the real estate industry will obviously have to add humongous value to the nation. And we have to attain that vision of now and future, which were just the dreams of the past. In order to do that, we need to understand the marketing of the future related to our industry. So the panelists are already introduced by Sapna. I'll skip that and start with Piyali Dasgupta. That's the first question coming to you, Piyali. Please help the audience understand a clear, demarcated difference between ATL and BTL activities for the real estate market. Thank you.
Thanks, Samir. Let me start by saying that this is the first fundamental of marketing. I think all of us who went to business school was taught this as the first fundamental, apart from a few other things. But let me just start by saying ATL, defined as above the line marketing, is pure and straightforward, using traditional mass media methods of communication, which includes radio, television, outdoor advertising. Some amount of online advertising can also be considered under the ATL banner. So in terms of real estate, especially residential real estate, I think ATL is still very prolifically used. You will see outdoor banners all the time. I think radio is used extremely effectively by developers to spread their message, to bring out their key selling points. On the other hand, BTL marketing, below the line, it's where you will connect with your audience in a more targeted fashion. So you could probably be looking at one-to-one connect through market events, certain other kinds of formats in which you can reach a little bit more targeted, including your digital marketing kind of campaigns. Now, what lies in between these two is what is really where the story is today. So that is interestingly called the TTL, or through the line. And this is where the two really start merging and interacting with one another. And that's where today the entire game really lies. Through the line is where you move between the above the line or the more traditional mass media based wider audience reach to the very targeted one-to-one communication kind of reach. That's where the through the line communication today lies. And this is the approach where most of marketing has started to happen. So when you talk about digital marketing, for example, or you talk about any kind of responsive marketing, whether it is through your through social media marketing, through paid promotions, through Google AdWords. All of this lies really in between this, because you're targeting through certain kind of parameters. So it could be contextual, it could be geographic, demographic. But one of the things that is very important here in terms of targeting is actually regret targeting, because that's where a lot of us get it wrong. We don't take a regret seriously, and we don't try and analyze the regret in terms of why there is one, because that's where the real key to our learning lies. If you understand where did we make the mistake for not being chosen, is is more critical than perhaps knowing where we were chosen correctly. So, Samir, to sum up, these are your three broad parts to what marketing entails. So, ATL, BTL, and then there is through the line TTL.
Fabulously explained, Piyali. Thank you so much. Ankit, I'll come to you next, but just let me tell you that my wife once wanted to understand from me as to what is economy, and I simply said my hair has been undergoing a recession, my stomach has been undergoing a massive inflation, and the COVID-19s and the lockdowns did put me through a recessionary depression. So that's all I could do to explain economy. But I'm sure, as somebody who's created brands and who's working on the tech side of it, the digital literacy will be the way forward as the ability to use technology to navigate, evaluate, and create worthwhile information. So please help build further on what Piyali has said and advise what is really the depth of TTL marketing strategy, especially to boost real estate sales. Over to you, Ankit.
Thank you, Samir, and thank you, Piyali. Just to, thanks for Piyali has explained quite well in terms of what ATL, BTL, etc., and the difference between them. And kind of moving on from what you just mentioned, technology and integrating that is what kind of my answer would hinge upon. So, of course, as you all would agree, I mean, there is no one size fits all in terms of marketing. Everyone has to try their own set of tools and tricks and audiences and everything, and whatever works for X brand might not work for another one. Of course, the core is to create a cohesive, seamless experience. And in the context of real estate brand, at least from what we have seen, everyone tries to reach and do things which are the most difficult things to do. Everyone tries ki ye kar rahe, hum bhi ye karte hai, it's kind of thing where everyone tries to mimic that, the bigger builder is doing this, let me also try and do that. Whereas what I feel, and these are the 4 or 5 key points I would like to make, is that if specifically in terms of digital through the line, if you get these 4 or 5 building blocks right, I think you're kind of way ahead of what, say, a top line builder would be doing. The first thing that I would like to point out, which you rightly said, is digital transformation. Digital transformation is a key thing that till now, surprisingly, a lot of brands are struggling with. For most, digital transformation lies around making a good website, creating some touch points, doing a little bit of social media. Whereas I feel that people who adopt digital properly in the back end systems as well as front end consumer facing systems, integrating that all the way through their sales and marketing teams, those people are the winners. So whether it's CRM tools, automation, new web technology, everything, if we kind of keep all of that in tow, then we are in a good place. Second point I feel are the basic building blocks. Now, you'd be surprised to know a lot of websites that we end up making, or some of the ones that come to us, till now have a very basic issue of speed. And again, I'm pointing that out again. Like I said, these are all very basic things that to do. Speed or having a fast loading website or a landing page. In real estate, we do advise all our clients to use landing pages as opposed to using their corporate websites, but a lot of them still end up using corporate websites. So, of course, that's one thing in terms of understanding how you can build those basic blocks and have your tools and tricks in place so that you can have that drip marketing approach to enhancing and nurturing your clients or leads that come in. The third thing that I would like to stress upon, and I feel is quite important in today's time, is automation. And when we say automation, I don't just mean that somebody has submitted a lead and we've sent him a thank you message, and that's pretty much where a lot of automation ends. But what I mean is, if somebody has submitted a lead for a particular project, then how do you create content pieces around that particular project to help nurture that lead till the time the person has actually bought it? And even if, let's say, the person has not bought it and not unsubscribed, we can still nurture that lead for some other project that might be coming up in the future. So it's about how we can build automations, keeping our CRMs, ERPs. The biggest thing right now, which everyone is using, is WhatsApp. So how can we use WhatsApp automation to everyone's advantage? And with WhatsApp, WABA business provider with various platforms that are available, you can easily do it online. And one of the last things that I want to, of course, stress on, which everyone here will concur, is data-driven decision making, which again is a big problem. We have loads and loads of data, we collect loads and loads of data, but often what we put forward in terms of marketing and using that data doesn't happen. So yeah, I mean, overall, if we kind of, to sum it up, if we just look at keeping our building blocks correct, I think we're in a good space. Over to you, Samir.
Fabulous, Ankit. I think extremely well summarized. Digital transformation, CRMs, basic building blocks, drip marketing approach, automation, and mind-numbing data-driven decision making. So I think if I've summed up what you have said, it's absolutely fantastic, and there is a pragmatic learning. My next question is coming to Suneet Singh. Suneet, my wife thinks that my brain is a masterpiece too. It basically has two parts, the left and the right. And unfortunately, the left has nothing right in it and the right has nothing left in it by where I've reached. So I would not be able to answer it. And that's where, we have to ask you this question as to what are the major ATL activities that you think the developers pursue in India, and what are the pros and cons of it? I'm specifically starting with ATL because those are the building blocks, and moving on to BTL forthcoming in the panel. Please, Suneet.
Hello, Samir and other friends of mine. The whole idea is, I think it's quite nicely done. I think what Piyali really differentiates between the ATL, BTL has already been set up, right? Addressing a broader approach and reaching out to the broader customer base is ATL, and being very targeted and very specific is BTL. So only the combination of two really works. But definitely, I think real estate players need to really focus majorly on ATL, and it's a given fact. Whether it is a TV, whether it's a newsprint, whether it is, digital to an extent, and events, that is what really, really is causing and making the ATL really, really effective. And many a times it's a given, right? But then there are like a TV advertisements, right? People wants to reach out to a wider audiences through this. Now, if you have a regional player, that's where the TV plays a slightly cost effective and a targeted approach really goes out of the sync. People who are based out of, let's say, a Delhi, like we are based out, or people who are very, very south based out of Bangalore, not necessarily want to showcase their product to the whole India as a space. So targeted approach doesn't really work across for a broader segment. But print is very, very localized segment, yet reach the marder reach. So that's what people use effectively in the ATL space, right? But ATL, again, print has its own limitation in terms of the cons that I put across is availability, right? Cost effectiveness. Again, can't be very, very localized to a specific region. It has a wider appeal, right? Digital is a game which is actually blurring the lines, a TTL is rightly said by Ankit, it actually falls under the ATL and the BTL slightly. It has a reach and it can be very, very specific to the audience that is coming across. And events is something, again, we will put across in both ATL and BTL. You do a large scale event and you reach a wider audience and you really reach across. So I think the combination of tea is the answer out here. And we need to be very, very effective in using this. Outdoor is one thing which really, really comes across as a media which is being used by all leading players. Again, there is a science behind it. I really like the way Ankit talked about, using data to arrive on a decision making. So we would do a lot of data analysis for outdoor as a media. Which are the areas that your people are coming from? You can be very specific in choosing. So it has a local cost effectiveness. Yes, you really can't measure that as a result, but you can really get across which areas you want to target, right? So there is a science behind the outdoor that needs to be applied. So these are the effective medias that is getting used in ATL, and both has its pros and cons. Needs to be very effective in using which project, which micro markets you want to work on. That's about it.
Fantastic. I think very, very extremely well summated, and I like the way where this panel is flowing in terms of one building up from the other, and it would be great knowledge in a 1 hour capsule for our audience. Manish, I'd like to come to you. I'm from Bangalore, and I truly believe the Punjabi software invasion in Bangalore happened only after Java, because most of them were extreme big experts on Java, Mid Java, and all of that they were doing in college. But because technology is overtaking things, what are the major BTL activities that you think developers and realtors pursue in India, and what are the pros and cons of it going forward? Manish.
I mean, before I begin, must compliment you. You're definitely making your wife happy today, and you're definitely making us all happy today with your jokes. But really, thank you for that. Coming back. So, Samir, I have a context to this, and that context may be slightly different from what people would imagine. I would imagine our industry, real estate, as I call it, is slightly behind. If I may be a little harsh, maybe we are a laggard when it comes to usage of ATL, BTL, or TTL, as Piyali also would put. The entire industry, I think for years, was in a state of general over demand. So what has happened is, over a period of time, a developer has all he or she has done is put a poster outside the place, and it was more like a placement news that I am now ready, see this elevation, and please come and buy it from me. And people have gladly done so most of the time, right? In spite of the cycles, etc. The point with FMCG, or point with many other people, have been that they've been in the industry for a very, very long time, and they've had to actively market to sell themselves. There has been product, proliferation. There have been brands sold, and brands get a premium much more than a product. Let's take an example. A Bisleri is made in one or two or equivalent brand, and I don't mean to point out any one brand, but is made in a cost of 1 to 2 rupees, and they're able to extract a premium of at least 5 times, 6 times from the market. I don't think real estate will do that. I think there is an intrinsic cost to the product, which is to do with the land and which is to do with the construction. Now we can differentiate between good product and a not so good product at best with 20%, 25%, give or take 40% if you're trying to sell a Trump task like we do sometimes. Now that shows that we are still in nascent stages of using ATL and BTL. That shows that we are still not exactly marketing savvy as an industry, right? So we are not extracting premiums of 1,000% and 4,000% based on brands. One. Secondly, let's look at it from a very macro perspective. In spite of so much of a constraint in trusting a real estate developer, except for the Tatas that Rajendran sir has worked for, and some of us have worked around, people are not willing to pay a premium for a brand, right? In fact, they're almost question marking the brand or the developer and the real estate community in general. And yet, till date, we don't have a real estate sahi hai die kind of a campaign from the industry. So there is something definitely that we have to catch up on. We are almost 50, 60 years behind in spite of spending as much money, by the way. We do. Now, let me take another example, and I'm purposely trying to make it macro. Look at the FMCG industry. A Rexona and a let's say Lux made from the same company are almost the same TFM. which basically means the intrinsic material is the same, right? It's just the perfume which is different, right? The shape which might be different, and finally the way they've been marketed. One is a filmi sitaro ka saundarya sabun, and the other is herbal beauty. But imagine the difference in the brand. Nobody would even imagine they are made in the same factory, right? Now look at it the other way around on real estate. We are still selling 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. We are still selling space, area, length into breadth, etc., etc. We are not selling conceptually. And that shows us that we have so much more to cover in spite of the fact that we do so much already. I would also say, taking on from Suneet's point, BTL has always been more developed when it comes to real estate. We know how to pamper our channel partners. We know how to take care of our customers, stroke consumers, as you'll differentiate yourself, Samir. When they come to us, we know how to give them the best hospitality, talk to them well, to greet them in suits. All of that is great. But when it comes to ATL, we are still talking the same undifferentiated language as our neighborhood brand. So I'm very clear that we have a lot to cover when it comes to overall marketing, specifically in ATL, where we are still talking like primitive so far, which is fast changing, by the way. I have a very simple data which has been recorded by Alchemist, so I'll like to put it. 5 years ago, we had 60% of the real estate ads showing elevations. Today, that number has gone down to 24. In a sample study of about 600 odd ad hoc ads that we have done. Now, this is interesting, isn't it? Where people are actually started talking something more than just the intrinsic product or the outside of it. That's what is interesting. So to me, lot to cover, lots happening out there. We see advertising like never before. We see storytelling happening. In fact, coming to digital, Ankit was talking a little about that, and I'd like to take that talk forward as well. Interesting part, we see only the conversion part of digital, the good boy image, the hardworking boy part of digital. कि घर में पैसा कमा के लेके आता है. But you know what? Now that TV is not so important, it was never important, and print is becoming lesser important in the lives of a real estate marketer. Have you imagined that digital is the only place left to storytell? Outdoor cannot storytell as much. So digital is the only place to storytell. Now, what about that? So digital is actually 2 medium for real estate, not one. One, to attract the audiences to hear you, what you're all about. And the second, then to converse with them and then get them to convert for you. To me, that is the starting point of where I'm probably coming from. And I hope the panel likes that macro viewpoint of where real estate can go. There is so much more to do for us. Thank you.
Manish, I must say I'm absolutely impressed, and I'm sure so would be the rest of the panelists and audience. Calling a spade, takes a science, and I think that you're getting from the word alchemist itself. I think you're purifying it. Absolutely fantastic. I think it's time we hit the nail on the head and change the way we look at the industry advertisements and industry markets. So absolutely fantastic. In fact, I'm so inspired that I've decided when I have the next fight with my wife, I will no more believe in going to bed mad. I'm going to stay up the whole night and strategize to fight, because the next person that I'm coming to is all about strategies with his vast experience. Mr. Rajendran, I think with all your huge experience that you carry, you would have strategized a lot and seen the whole landscape change in the Indian real estate. So tell us how the whole landscape of Indian real estate industry has evolved, and how do you really see ATL, BTL activities evolve over the next few years to boost the real estate sales? Mr. Rajendran.
Sure. Thank you, Samir. And first of all, Manish, please don't call me sir. It makes me look very old. So, coming back to the question, so the evolution of real estate. So I've been now in real estate for almost 2 decades. So I have seen starting of a company and the company growing. So the whole reforms thing which happened in real estate. So I would say the first thing which happened in real estate as an evolution was the corporate brands stepping into the real estate segment. That was the initiation. Then when the corporate banks started stepping into the real estate, we had the private equity guys coming in because they were more comfortable dealing with the corporate kind of setup with clean balance sheets. So that is what happened. But still, I think the real estate sector had its own problems with non-transparency and lot of money laundering and other things which were still happening, and the customers not getting their due. So that is where I think around 2016 the government stepped in with RERA. So that evolution happened with RERA coming in. The sector got lot more transparency, accountability, and also the customer started getting some protection. With this, again, the private equity got more interested because they now found that there is some accountability on the developer part. And so not so big developers also started getting some money from private equities. Post that, you can see the government also introduced the housing for all. So there was a shift from housing only premium and luxury to affordable. So affordable housing became the buzzword, and a lot of people, including my company where I was working earlier, Tata Housing, we had Tata Value Homes, Mahindra had Mahindra Happiness, and likewise Shapoorji had Joyville. So a lot of brands started launching affordable brands within their portfolio. At the same time, then we saw the way technology was being adopted. Real estate also started adopting technology. So there was a huge increase in the adoption of technology. It started with small automations within the sales and marketing process and the CRM process, but it then slowly moved to the virtual reality space where customer experience and how to showcase a product online to NRI customers. And this also got augmented with the COVID coming in. So during COVID, we had issue with customers not being able to come to site. I think that is, you can imagine that when people were not meeting, that is the time the maximum technology adoption happened. Even the Zoom that we are talking today became popular only because of COVID. So that time the evolution happened with the adoption of technology to make the customer experience even at an online stage seamless, whether not depending on technology, not depending on geography. So the customer experience became important. Then also it happened that the customers are themselves becoming more savvy, and they are not consuming this anymore on a laptop or somewhere. They want it on the mobile. So the customer experience on the mobile and how to access. Now with the mobile, it so happens that you are no longer talking to somebody who just wants a digital presentation. It is a more of a social media engagement. It is more where the customer is. I need to be there where the customer is. So I go and touch him on the Facebook. I go and show him my show flat or online imagery on Instagram. So slowly everything has moved online. So the journey has been very good till now, and more and more it is evolving. Now coming to the second part of your question, which is regarding the future of ATL BTL activities. Now what is happening is, with technology coming in, with data analytics, AI ML activities in real estate, it is becoming more and more personalized. Okay, so all activities are more personalized and more targeted. But with this also comes the good part, which is that we can maximize our ROI and conversion rates, because these are very targeted activations that we are doing. Similarly, integration of online and offline channel. Now, what happens is with technology, as Piyali was also mentioning, it is no longer, I think going forward, it will no longer be an ATL, BTL. And as Manish also rightly pointed out, this may be the only channel that we may be talking to in some time. So then it's a through the line communication, as we call it. So in that, what will happen is that the ATL and BTL differentiation is getting blurred. So what is ATL? What is BTL? In the same medium in Facebook, I can be doing an ATL as well as doing a BTL. So it depends on how I am targeting or how am I approaching the medium. And also interactive experiences are increasing. Today, I can see technology evolving day by day. And I can see a lot of immersive experiences like the virtual tours. Floor plans are getting interactive. That is what, so floor plan earlier was just an image which could be viewed by the customers. But today, the floor plans are interactive. You have 3D images of the show flat where you can focus on a particular part of the apartment, which also gained traction during the COVID because people were not able to visit. Similarly, I can also look at content marketing and thought leadership. So thought leadership and content marketing, again, I can do an ATL or I can do a BTL. I can do a lot of content which can go on to Instagram, which becomes for public consumption. Okay, so it is more like an ATL, but at the same time, profiling the customer and coming to a targeted communication to him through the digital medium, I can still do a kind of a BTL to him. And it can have a call for action. It can have a response mechanism built into it. So that is what I can be part of a lot of webinars and seminars like we are doing today and influence a customer. So that again depends on how am I targeting. For example, if I'm doing a panel today, and if this was a product promotion panel, I can have tabs in the video conference, which will tell me that the person is interested. You click on this particular, like we have on YouTube, where you do like, share, subscribe. You can also respond to a particular thing online now. So a lot of these things are happening. What is also happening is the brand building trust and fostering long-term relationship with customers. This also, as Manish rightly pointed out, is coming through the storytelling. As other, like I have been part of consumer durables, I have been part of automotive. So there we never used to talk about how much is the CC of the engine or what. We never used to talk that. It is more like nothing. Like for example, I was the brand manager for Scorpio. So Scorpio, it was all about nothing else will do. Like I won't compromise. So it's an uncompromising attitude, right? That attitude was being brought. That storytelling was missing. Even when I entered real estate in 2005, my whole reason for moving from durables and automotive was to bring in kind of brand building or build brands in real estate. Because even today, if you look at it, the developer is the brand. It is more so in Tata Housing. Fortunately, with Tata Value Homes, we were able to bring in brands like Shugra and New Haven, which was talking to a particular target segment. And we were not talking of product there. We were talking of aspirations. We were talking of getting to a lifestyle. We were talking of the lowest segment getting a home with a lifestyle, which they never thought they could. So I would say that in future, because of the digital coming to such an extent that today we first talk of digital, and then if there is any money is left, then we talk of other things. These lines are getting blurred. So it will no longer be, we will call ATL or BTL. They are helping each other. Like you can say the same medium I'm using twice, one as an ATL and one as a BTL.
Fabulous, fabulous. I think it was all experience talking there. So thank you so much for the insights, sir. Dr. Rawat, you're the only one left in the panel. I'm sorry for coming to you last, but we preserve some of the best knowledge always like that. Somebody had asked me, do you know what it means to come home to a woman who will give you a little bit of love, little bit of attention, and little bit of tenderness? These days, it means you have come to a wrong home. So, taking that joke apart, we want none of our customers to go to a wrong home so that they are directed to the right homes or the right real estate. What are the BTL activities and why are they important in today's real estate market? Dr. Rawat. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you, Samir. And Rajendran has given a detailed view of historically from last 20 years to till day, how real estate, ATL, BTL has been progressed over 2 decades. So he has been so elaborate that he has left little to add. Just to add a few things to it is personalization, because BTL takes ahead the personalization thing, because today technology has enabled us to do more and more personalization, to target more focused target, and we can customize our marketing strategy accordingly. And BTL is more important as of now because it can be more cost effective. It is measurable. When we talk about lead generation, it is again very cost effective. For brand building, I think ATL is still very important because you want to take your brand to a larger audience. But when routine things have to be done, when project sustainable campaigns have to be done, you need to go back to the BTL activities. So BTL has their own importance, and this will continue. Digital is more important as of now because if I quote to my company's budget, 70 to 80% we spend on digital. And digital has blurred between ATL and BTL as explained by other co-panelists. Like in ATL newspaper also, if you take ad in newspaper, it goes on digital also. Every like Times of India, HT, other all media, they have their online versions also. They have their own Facebook, Google ads. So if you go for the newspaper thing, automatically their digital things come along. So things have been, the difference between ATL, BTL is blurred. And I think moving forward, BTL, digital driven BTL is the way forward. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Rawat. I think that was absolutely fantastic. Dear panelists, I think we've had a great first round of questions, except the fact that we've overshot time a little bit. So, we still have time for a second round of questions to all of you, but we'll keep it a little brief this time so that, Tripti or Sapna do not have a gun pointed at me and we finish off in time. So, I'll come back in no specific order. I'll come back to Suneet and ask, what do the BTL techniques target? How do they target the specific demographics or the niche markets?
So Samir, out here in BTL, the best part is it's the precision and the flexibility that BTL offers. That is the best part about it. And you can really, really become very penetrative by targeting the right group. So how it can be really effective, you can do a word of mouth activation. You can do an event specific. If I just want, and I have to do that storytelling that Manish was talking about, I can do that to the audiences that I really like. So if I have a particular place that I have to talk about a certain key aspects, I would really like to invite 10 key people, and that's about it. So I can be that granular in my attendant to those audiences. And we can come across and show something and talk about a different. So we can host a power breakfast session, talk about where India is going to be in next 20 years or next 5 years for that matter, right? And do that kind of this thing and do a little bit of engagement. So BTL can be really effective by getting into granular details, right? Whether it is events, whether it is word of mouth, whether it is digital to an extent, we can do custom targeting, I can do cloning, I can get into similar bits. If I have to target people like Manish and I like Manish's this thing, I can have cloning of Manish done across on the digital thing. That can be done, right? So you get into the specifics out there. Community building, community engagement. You can do a lot of CSR engagement. You can talk about and take your brand to the next level, right? But different thing. So what really, really is important in BTL activation also is innovation. How do we do it? How do we do it differently? How do we not really walk the same run of the mill activations, but think through it, devise the activation and becoming more effective? That is an idea that we like to mute on. That's it.
Super. Absolutely super. Manish, one thing is very clear. She wants to clone you, not me or any of us. So great choice. Just kidding. But I think I'll come to Ankit. Ankit, there are only 2 times in my life I've never understood my wife. One was before marriage and the second is after marriage. But, there are other things which I'm sure you can explain to us and we can understand. So how do the BTL activities help personalize and enhance the efforts and results in real estate marketing? And I think Dr. Rawat touched it, but you can detail it a little more.
I think whatever has been spoken about so far, a lot of that already is kind of the answer. But just to put it very simply, you spoke about your wife, the two sides of it. I think it's just that with data at hand, you can easily identify and contextualize things. Whereas without data in hand, you cannot do that. So it kind of also links back to my previous answer. If you have a lot of data, you have like Suneet was saying, if you have well-planned cohorts, if you have well-planned audiences, or you're making lookalike audiences, so you know what you're going to be talking about. And that, of course, comes at a cluster level. And that again comes at a granular level when you're on a one-to-one with someone. So, of course, it kind of helps to build real-time relationships. At the same time, what I feel is that if you have good data and you're doing a lot of BTL activities, it empowers and strengthens the team. So once the team actually knows that this is what we're going into and they are there with the right tools in hand, right data in hand, it helps them interact with consumers better. So that helps us ultimately, of course, do conversions better. And to be very honest, when you think from a consumer lens, as you probably in the previous, if you step few years back, you would walk into a mom and pop store where somebody would welcome you with the hello, hello, Mr. Samir or something like that. But whereas if you walk into a mall, you're just on your own. So, if you have that personal touch, it automatically adds to bringing more value to the conversation. Having said that, which is why a lot of times we want to capture additional data from customers, when's their birthday, when's their anniversary, where do they previously live in, what was their education, etc. That all boils down to ultimately personalization and how you can, strike a conversation. Even today, like as an agency, when we go for pitches, we tend to do background research on who is the stakeholder in the room and, what he or she has been working on or what is his or her perspective. That all is why, because we want to just understand the other person's perspective and have a conversation which is actually more linked or relevant to them. So yeah, I mean, overall, it is about personalization, and I think data overall helps enhance that offering to the brands.
Fabulous. I love the whole data-driven approach that's coming in. Ankit, very, very deep. One thing I'll clarify though, I just keep joking around, but we are very happily married for last 32 years.
I'm sure.
She's happy and I'm married, but we are very happily married. So
I mean, you may have a very different objective or thought after this panel, unless your wife is not hearing.
Absolutely. So, Rajendran ji, I will again come back to you. How do traditional marketing methods complement the new BTL techniques for boosting sales in real estate? And I think you did cover it up a fair bit in your first part, so we'll keep it brief. Go ahead, sir. You're on mute.
Okay, thank you. First of all, you are definitely not afraid of talking. So one is, so when we talk of traditional medium, I would consider it as ATL, which is complementing the BTL. And when you say new age BTL, there are new things which are coming in where we are able to target the customers on a one-to-one basis, which were like these were not existing 10 years back, and these mediums could not be targeted. So I would say, for example, traditional brand visibility through billboards, newspapers, signages, these are all today also creating that initial interest in the customers, which helps us when we approach them on a one-to-one basis. There is already kind of an interest in the customer because there is already a knowledge about what was advertised through a print or thing. So, like for example, when we are doing the print ad now and post that when we are going for society activations, for example. So we recently did in Pune, for example, a society activation, and we also did one activation for army and doctors. Now these are people who are exposed to the ATL first, and then we are approaching them. There is a acceptance of the brand and the product at that point of time. Similarly, when we talk about direct mailers, brochures, printed material, which reaches a larger audience through different medium that we can do, there also I am able to complement it because the BTL techniques that I'm going to do will have an email campaign or a one-to-one approach. So that emailer will have the similar look and feel of the brand communication, which the customer has already seen earlier. So that is how it is complementing. So email, for example, 20 years back was a different medium. Today, we have very, very high rate of email opening and response based on how whether I'm able to reach the customer's inbox and not the junk box. Similarly, event marketing, property expos, open houses, real estate seminars, these are the traditional medium. But we can also create events which are more personalized. So what happens is once we are able to approach the customers through this, I have done, for example, recently a loyalty program for one of my Joyville projects in Pune, where I called a lot of customers to an event, and there I'm even able to pitch them a loyalty product or a referral product. For example, they have bought from me something in Pune, and which is about 3 years back. They are ready to buy another one today. So I'm able to do a one-on-one communication with them, generate referrals through them. There is also cross promotion.
Rajendran sir, I think we are running
Yeah,
short of
they
time.
will,
We'll have to
they will
push it.
continue. So
But
basically, what we
I
are
know
talking about is
yeah.
convergence of channels. What we are talking about is personalization and targeting. What we are also communicating is interactive engagement, because today's medium is allowing you two-way communication. So that is an interactive engagement that we are doing. And all of this today is allowing us that it is measurable. Unlike a print earlier or unlike a hoarding, where we had to put in specifically a unique number to identify how many calls we received from a particular print or hoarding. Today, it is uniquely measurable. So I would say it is complementing well, and this is the way to go, where you have a omni-channel presence and you cater to the audience as per their need.
Fantastic, and I'm sure many of us would like to connect with you and learn a lot more, because it would be a real worthwhile thing. Unfortunately, we are hard pressed for time. Piyali, I keep saying disruption in the industry hurts only if you are not the one disrupting. So, what are the new disruptions that we can expect in terms of the ATL BTL activities in coming years, with the explosive growth that is expected in the real estate industry in India? Piyali.
So let me try and put it in perspective. So number one is that real estate, especially residential real estate, it's a product or which is cross generational. So one has to be careful about when people are talking about real estate. It's not, even when it's certain other products like cars can be very high value, but there is a life cycle to it. Real estate essentially is perennial unless it comes to a point where you want to dispense of it. So it is cross generational. We must remember that. In terms of marketing, I think everybody agrees to the fact that the lines are blurring out. So when your product really is all about service, which almost today every product is about service, marketing is also about serving the customer. So CX is the primary thing, and that is always going to be the disruptor. Your customer is always going to want more attention, better information, uh, personalization. I think somebody did mention personalization. So at every given point and time, the customer will want more from us. That's part one. The second disruptor that I feel, and I think Ankit can give us better understanding, is automation. Now, what has happened is automation has actually happened on the front side of it, but we really need to automate the back end side of our marketing, processes. So, AI assistants, etc. Because that's the complete package. And once we get there, somebody mentioned that we are number of years and decades behind many other sectors, but that will be the second disruptor. Third, I think, is purpose driven marketing. And that's important because as we move in a generation, purpose driven marketing will become important for a product, because the product is actually moving towards a service more than just remaining a box and a concrete box where you just survive. Fifth, again, I will maybe at some point discuss it with Ankit, is digital collaboration. And here I don't mean making reels together. Here I mean more about internet data exchange or IDX kind of, and MSL kind of formats, which are AI driven kind of approaches. These are going to really change the way marketing will happen in the future, and uh, perhaps much sooner than we can actually imagine. And some of it has already started to happen in other countries. And I think the fifth one is really going to be the value addition that we can provide as real estate becomes a service more than a product today. So value additions like home inspections, third party certifications, green initiatives, all these things are going to start playing an important role in the final decision of purchasing a home. So these are my five top picks.
Absolutely fantastic, because you were absolutely bang on time and summated it extremely well point wise. So fantastic. I'll move to Manish Porwal. Manish, I think we should never lose an opportunity. Sorry, excuse my voice. Once I ate a paracetamol tablet by mistake, I panicked and asked my wife to help, and she decided to use the opportunity and gave me a headache. So that's where I learned we never lose an opportunity. But real estate is a huge opportunity now in India. And do you think we are utilizing the full potential of ATL, BTL, and how do we utilize it like other industries? If not, how and why? Manish.
So we're not, but that is fast changing, very simply because we were driven by a very owner-driven mindset, which is far more here and now. Also, reality is, and let's accept it, that we're living in a world where the product, the real estate product, lives its life between 1 to 3 years of selling, and that's about it, right? We hardly care about corporate brands. They get built on the way. We don't really have built it. They've got built over the period of time. But that's fast changing because people have realized that trying to spend money over ATL and BTL repeatedly again and again and again, trying to build a brand is going to cost a lot of more money. People are here for long terms, and therefore they are okay to invest into what is called either a corporate brand or a multi or a large product brand in that sense. So from that angle, much better than what it used to be 10 years ago. As I said, we are having far less elevation ads or far less so-called 2-3 bedroom homes versus, hey, I give you joy and happiness kind of ads. There's a lot of serviceization. Piyali was kind of mentioning this point, and I wanted to elaborate. There's a lot of serviceization that is happening in this entire thing. A lot of my clients I know are now paying attention to two big things. One, serviceization of their product. So they don't just give a tennis court, they're actually giving that coach for the next 5 years who's going to take care of that tennis coach and your child's future in tennis, if at all she wants to have one. That's one part. And the second part is sustainability, purpose. As again, Piyali said, that part is going to play a huge role in attracting the Gen Zs who's going to become your primary customer in the next 5 to 10 years. Sustainability, they are looking for larger good of the world. They're not looking for themselves only. And yes, one more thing, Samir, if I may say, for the first time, real estate, and there I differentiate from Piyali's point, it's going to change from being a cross-generational product to a consumption product. Very simple again, another piece of data. Once upon a time, people used to put in a 1 crore flat, the average interiors put in were about 4.5 lakh rupees. Today, in a 1 crore equivalent flat, people are putting average interiors of about 13 to 15 lakh rupees. What does it mean? 3 times more consumption is happening. You're putting money on depreciating assets, which means you want it for yourself, not for your grandson. And that basically means a lot of things for today. So marketing is all about today and not tomorrow. I know we have to rush and cover up for whatever time you've taken, but yeah, I mean, those are the points I'd like to add at this point. Ek aur cheez thi, Samir, I'll take not more than half a minute on this. BTL per se has never been used by any other industry as good as us. We've used it for channel partners who are a very, very important trade for us. We do some fantastic channel partner stuff on BTL. We do it for prospects, as Rajendran also said, exhibitions, road shows, etc. And then what we do is also for customers, people who are already ours, what we do on ground. And that part is amazing because it means that we're not wasting money. And I'm an ad agency and I still say that we're not wasting money on advertising just because we don't know who our customers are. So yeah, that's my point, my bit.
Superb. The consumption of the product vis-a-vis the cross-generational product, I think that's an absolutely new perspective and a phenomenal one coming through. I think we have a couple of minutes, the last couple of minutes. Vishesh Rawatji, I'll come to you. Paint a quick scenario. Next few years, Indian real estate growth story and the marketing skills that will emerge from ATL, BTL, since you handle all of it, residential, commercial, retail, and maybe even alternative real estate that will come with it. Quickly.
Thank you, Samir. I believe in India growth story. For next 4 years, India is considered to be a $5 trillion US dollar economy. We have a vision for Viksit Bharat 2047. I believe in that. 6.7% annual GDP growth is there. I believe in that. We have a youngest pool of people in our country. I believe in that. And surely there is lots of growth happening, industrialization happening. People are moving from rural area, tier 3 tier cities to tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities. So there will be lots of urbanization. We have our own such huge demographics that we don't have to rely on other countries for this. We are a self-sustainable economy. So I believe that this is the least prone for the disruptions. We will be smoothly and very fast growing economy for next 1 or 2 decades. There are no doubts about it. And with the government's focus on real estate and infrastructure projects, so this sector will certainly will grow. And for example, take the example of Dwarka Expressway. So this is at 29 kilometers of world-class highway, and we have witnessed in last 10 years how the development has taken place in and around this Dwarka Expressway. So if you see the rates in last 3 years only, it has been doubled. So India has a bright future. And as far as ATL, BTL is concerned, so digitalization is going on, more personalization will be there. But as far as real estate is concerned, I believe that since many people are doing investment into it, I think around 30-40% people are investors. So when they purchase a product, so it will not be like FMCG products. So we have to be differentiate from FMCG products. That storytelling is important, but for real estate product, that is real estate, that is physical thing. So it is difficult to anyone to purchase a real estate without going and visiting the site. So that physical thing will always be there. So even it's a 1 crore apartment, is a 10 crore apartment, 50 crore apartment, physical things will remain there forever. As far as alternate real estate is concerned, like co-working and warehousing, again, this will also increase with the increase in economy, increase in e-commerce. Warehousing is going to increase, like co-working is increasing because of onset of startup ecosystem in India. So if you see the co-working spaces, most of the people are the guys who have started their own company. So this is going to be fast-paced in next few years. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Rawat sir. Sapna had warned me that the moment she comes on screen, the time's up. I'm glad it's happened coincidentally. So Sapna, I'll just take half a minute to thank the panelists, Piyali, Suneet, Mr. Rajendran, Mr. Rawat, Manish, and Ankit. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute fabulous exposure, and I'm sure the audiences had tremendous amount to learn for ATL, BTL, and the merging TTL activities that are going to happen in real estate. We are very confident the way we are placed geopolitically and with the growth path in India. I think the next 10 years truly belong to our industry. So thank you so much, and look forward to continue learning from all of you folks. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Samir.
Thank you, Samir. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, it was a great panel. I think a lot of insights, as Manish said, we can keep talking on this topic because it's a very, we are still in a very nascent stages in terms of real estate marketing. And as everyone is, the other speaker said, digital marketing is where ATL and BTL are kind of, the boundaries are blurring in that aspect. And this is the real growth that we are going to see in digital marketing. And of course, hearing all the anecdotes of your personal life, Samirji, it was very interesting. A very difficult topic, and to sum it up within that 1 hour on that fantastic moderation, Samirji. But another difficult task for you is, if you have to sum up this entire thing, ATL, BTL in real estate, in one sentence, what would be your summing up?
I once there was a star that was falling, and they say that if you make a wish, it's given to you. So I wished with the star that give me the power to understand my wife. The star went back and joined the original star. So ATL BTL is so huge that there is no way we can understand it in a long time to come. We have to continuously keep evolving. If you hear Ankit's perspective, if you hear what Manish is coming up with in terms of that Indian industry, the real estate has still not done it even 1 or a few percent vis-a-vis the FMCG. If you take Mr. Rajendran's experience and Mr. Rawat's experience in there, and what Piyali and Suneet are saying, so I think we have a long, long way to go. You want to ask it in one word, I think it's the future of real estate.
Fantastic. And we'll wait for another star to make a wish. This time we'll make the right wish. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being part of this discussion. Thanks Suneet. Thanks Piyali. Thanks Samirji. Thanks Ankit. Thanks Manish and Mr. Rajendran and Dr. Vishesh Rawat. Thank you for being part of this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy. Please continue. Goodbye.